It's time for the Salt and Sass podcast, when we share our love for the wonderful world of board games with you, whether you're a gaming veteran or just starting your tabletop journey. Welcome to episode 72. I'm Suzanne.
And I'm Mandi.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. It is a fun day because Mandi has been working like a busy little bee behind the scenes. So we've got a new recording tool and all of this other stuff that we're testing out so that maybe we can do the video for the podcast as well as Just Game Pie. Because when we started the podcast ages ago, we did the video podcast, but it ended up being complicated, all this other stuff. So hopefully, fingers crossed, whether you are on video channels or on audio, you can have the podcast multiple ways now if you want to. So thank you, Mandi, for doing all of that hard work.
Oh, my pleasure.
And we'll see how it goes. I mean, if it ends up being a nightmare, there's that element too.
We're gonna try it. So I'll just this episode's this is like the test episode.
Yeah,
see how it goes.
To be clear, as I'm talking to you right now, this is our third start at trying to get this done. So
okay, it's not my fault. I accidentally put us live as we were doing it. My bad, everybody. My bad.
I wasn't gonna say anything. We are here to talk about all the fancy board games and card games we've been playing, some of the latest stuff that we've been doing, but we always typically start, because we're omni gamers, right? We play all sorts of games, Mandi. Mm-hmm. We usually start with some video games that we've been playing, because there's all that. And as we are recording this, and as you are listening to this for the first time, it's the Steam Summer Sale, aka Library Builder Wallet Killers. And I've definitely picked up a few things in that. But Mandi, how about you?
I have as well. And you all know I love a good sale when it comes to video games. However, one of the games I did buy was not on sale. I know. Not on sale. And only because it was so good. I played the demo, because you know how they had lots of demos of games during
the fest.
Yeah, the fest, exactly. So then there's a game called Date Everything, and it's a dating sim kind of game, but I know if you like games like Boyfriend Dungeons, it's not like that, in the fact that the story is very similar, but it doesn't have that kind of fighting part. So if you're looking for like the actual game part, that's not going to be in it. But it was so funny, like, and cute, and the art's really nice. I don't know, the story was catching me, and a few other people that I talked to were like, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. The banter's really good. They have a really diverse group of people. I'm into it. So I think I'm already like 6 hours in, and I just got it like last night.
Oh no, you love it. That's awesome.
Oh, I love Sims in general. So like when I play, The Sims, do you know the amount of hours I put into that game with mods and everything is obscene. So I have to be careful with these games, because I just get so like into the world, but it's really nice to play just before bed, while I'm, watching like old reruns of Law and Order or something. I can play that at the same time. So Date Everything. If you're into that kind of dating sim, or kind of you just want a fun story, nice art, something you might want to try. And I picked that up on Steam. And the other game that I've been playing is called The Altars. Now, this is on Xbox Game Pass. Xbox, rewind. Let's take a step back. I don't know if you've heard about this, but Xbox is doing a thing with Steam. You can now, I don't know if the update has rolled out yet, but you will see Steam. So you can actually run Steam games on your Xbox PC account. I don't know about consoles yet. Consoles are coming. It's coming.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
From what I was told, it's coming. But yeah, so that's a game changer, considering I play a lot of my Xbox, PC, whatever. But apparently it will be coming to consoles. But if you do have Xbox in the app, apparently they're rolling it out. So you will see Steam games will be playable through Xbox. That's massive. So, sorry. Should have started with that.
Yeah.
More to come on that, so I'll keep you posted as I hear things. The Altars is a game that's on Game Pass. It just came out maybe like a couple weeks ago, and I don't think it's my type of game at all, but I wanted to try it. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's space-ish. I don't even know. Exploration maybe is a better, but it does take place in some kind of moon planet thing, whatever. And in the beginning of the game, you're everyone's around you. Your crew's gone. You're running out of like oxygen. There's radiation coming for you. You got to find out where your ship is, or like the main base that you were supposed to get to. So you get there, and you have a ship, and there are different rooms and stuff when you get in there, and you have objectives you're trying to complete. So you're trying to get resources on the planet. You're trying to build things in order to get these resources, and you have X amount of days to get off said planet before you die.
Okay.
I haven't gotten that far yet, so I don't know what happens. But you can't do any communication with anybody until you start building all this stuff. So, and you only have so much time in a day to get your materials because then you start to, running out of oxygen and, radiation and all kinds of things are going to happen. So I think it's like 7 days or something, and you have to do it before that happens, or like it's a wrap for you. I don't like stuff that's timed like that. It stresses me out.
Right, right.
So that was like the first thing. The vibe is cool. And then apparently, I haven't gotten there yet, but the name is called The Altar. You'll have other versions of yourself
Got it.
pop up in the game to kind of help you. It's a cool concept. I think a lot of people will like it, much like Expedition, Cleric's Obscure Expedition 33. Again, I think it's actually a really good game. I just don't think it's for me. So, if that sounds cool to you, which I think a lot of people will enjoy, The Altars is on Game Pass, so you can give it a go if you have Game Pass. Trying to branch out. The
Yeah.
last game I'll talk about is not even on anything. I was at my friend's graduation, so shout out to my one of my good friends, B. Congratulations on your graduation. She graduated from nursing.
Ooh,
Woo!
awesome.
And her cousin and I, her cousin's a little bit younger. She's like, Mandy, I know you like games. I've been playing this game. What do you think? It's called Connect Word. You can just play it on your phone.
Oh, is it like Word with Friends or something like that?
No, it gives you columns and rows of words, and you have to group the words that are similar or have a similar theme or have a similar some kind of connection.
Got
That's
it.
literally it.
Cool. Fun.
It's simple enough, but then they get more challenging, and I'm like, I'm learning words I didn't even know. Like, I didn't know this word. It's very cool. And then it like amps it up with bigger grids or bonus columns after you've done it. Anyway, honestly, super simple. I just like to kind of, I'm standing in a line or something. I can play some Connect Word. I love word games. This was actually really fun and it's free. So Connect Word, good.
Amazing. That's awesome. If you like word games, Mandy, there's a Steam game that dropped called Wordatro. So they're playing on
Ooh.
Balatro,
Oh my God.
Wordatro. I haven't played it yet, but heads up on that one.
Oh, thank you. I'll add it to the list.
Yeah, with the Steam, with all the fests, and then of course the Steam sale, I picked up a demo, and I think I mentioned this. I don't know, called Flick Shot Rogues.
Huh?
Super fun little roguelike where you're like you're crossbowing, so it's like a pool game. It's like a billiards game, but like you're fighting baddies. Like it's like an adventure game, and you pull back, and then your little avatar goes bouncing around, and when it hits enemies, it does damage, and you can build up their defenses and their attack strength and stuff like that. It's goofy and fun, and I'm really enjoying that. So Flick Shot Rogues, if you're into that kind of like billiard style game, but you want
Yeah.
adventure game on top of it, it's cute. But the one that I've been playing a little bit more of is called Islet's Defense. And this
Okay.
just dropped. And Islet's Defense is a tower defense game. So, you've got a tower that you're defending and little baddies that are marching towards you through various paths. And then you can drop different towers that give various abilities, that kind of thing. The reason why I definitely checked it out initially and why I wanted to bring it here is one of the core mechanisms of Islet Defense is they took the action selection from Arc Nova. And the designer literally mentions that he was inspired by the
Oh.
action selection of Arc Nova. So the
Right.
actions are like you can explore, so you can expand the map, you can build, you can plant things and various things that you want for resources and that kind of thing. But the way you do it is that, like, sure enough, you have the cards that represent the actions, and then as they go down the cycle of cards, they get stronger, and the strength of the actions depends on where they are in that line. You can move cards, so it really does take a lot of inspiration directly from that Arc Nova action selection mechanism. The game also has little random mini games built in that are kind of cute and fun. I like it. It's got a real cute aesthetic. What I was drawn to is I like tower defense, but then I see that, oh, it's the Arc Nova mechanism. I'm like, well, what did you do with that? I think it's
Right.
cute, and it's definitely worth a check. There is a demo, so you can check out the demo if you want to do that. So that's Islet's Defense.
Good. I don't think I saw that one, but I'll have to check it out.
So check out the demo. There you go. All right. So, Mandy, I just wanted to mention a quick crowdfunding campaign before we talk about the games played and our game pie of the show.
Yo, that's great. But I also, before you do that, oh no. I I realized I was so excited talking about date everything. I forgot to actually tell you what it was about. So you're dating your furniture.
Wait, what? I only have off-color things to say to that, and I won't.
Oh, trust me. And this game definitely can get spicy, but there are mechanisms to turn that off if that's not your thing. So it's like Boyfriend Dungeon where you got to date your swords. This is like you're dating things around the house, and it's hilarious. Anyway, sorry. That might be important to mention.
Noted. And Mandy, I think we've got a little teaser for interview you did with Aaron Tramelas too. So we'll take a look at
I
that.
do.
All right. So quickly. I wanted to mention that Grail Games has a new Kickstarter campaign out for a very small box games that they're calling the part of their Pixel series.
Oh, nice.
And each game is just $10 US, right? This is in the age of big bombastic miniatures fests, which, hey, if that's your thing, no problem. Here's, kind of the flip side of it, just little $10 small box games. There's 3 different games, and they're all a little bit different just at their core. So Aliens Attack is a 1 to 2 player solo game where it's kind of like Space Invaders, I think, where the aliens are attacking and you have to beat them as they come down the look before they hit your base. Ohio Bob. The game is called Ohio Bob. I love this name.
That's
It
funny.
is a cooperative tile laying game. It looks super duper fun. I actually think Ohio Bob's the one I'm most excited to try. And then Harvest Valley is a 2 to 5 player kind of semi co-op farming thing where it looks like you
Right.
each have your own cards, but you put them into a shared farming grid. So Mandy, your card may impact my card in this grid kind of thing. So each of those is just $10. It's on Kickstarter now. I didn't write down when it ends. Oh, it ends July 15th. And if you want to check out those little ones, you can check those out through July 15th on Kickstarter, the Grail Games Pixel series.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, they look cute. Alrighty, Mandy, we got a bunch of games that we've been playing lately, and I'm looking forward to hearing all about yours. So let's get to it.
Yeah, let's take a look. All right. Well, I do have a lot of games, and I even have a party game this week.
Amazing, awesome.
Happens. That never happens. But this one was fun. I played it with Mumsy, played it with a few friends, and yeah, surprisingly a lot of fun. I know I say surprisingly because you know how I feel about party games, but here we are. So the first game I'm going to talk about is called HITSTER Guilty Pleasure. And I don't know if you've heard of this one at
I
all,
haven't
Suzanne.
actually, yeah.
Okay, so this was provided to me very kindly at Canada Plays recently.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so HITSTER Guilty Pleasure is designed by Marcus Carlson and published by Jumbo. That's all it says. And it's for 2 to 10 players, so it's quite a bit of people playing that there. And it takes about 30 minutes, and that's probably pretty accurate. And it retails for about $26 Canadian. And literally the game, if you like music, this is going to be a fun game for you. Players have these cards, and there are QR codes on the cards. And what you're trying to do is you hear a song, and you have it's almost like, think of Timeline. Do you know the game Timeline where you have to, there's an event and you have to put them in chronological order based on the year that it happened? It's the same for the songs. So you have a starting kind of date in your timeline already. And then on your turn, someone, you'll pick a card, but someone will play it based on the QR code, scan it with their phone. And then you have to determine if it goes before or after certain years that are already in your timeline. So if my timeline started with 1962 and then we play the next song on my card, I have to listen to it. Okay, do I think it goes before or after 1962? You don't necessarily need to know the song or artist. You just need to make sure that it is placed in the correct date. So that's one part of it. And then I think it's once you get to a certain number of cards, I think it's dependent on players, then that'll be the winner, whoever gets there first. If you can guess the artist and song as well as getting it in the year, you'll get a token. And these tokens, when you get so many, can kind of help you negate certain cards. Like, you know what? I'm going to spend 3 of my tokens that I got, so that card doesn't need to go in there. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Or you can skip a card so it doesn't mess up your timeline, because you just don't get to put them in if it's wrong. Or you can put one in and it's not necessarily correct, but you're spending tokens in order to place it in the timeline, even if it's not 100%. That is literally the game.
Sure.
Super straightforward, super easy. I had to tell you, I just liked hearing the songs. I'm like, oh yeah, some goodies in here. And someone who might know music, like I did play a lot of instruments growing up, things like that. If you're familiar with music, certain songs used during a certain time use a certain type of, instruments or music. Like you can hear something like, that sounds really 70s, or this sounds really 80s. Do you know what I mean? Like it has a vibe. So I like the fact that even if you don't necessarily know the name of the song or the group, you could kind of listen to the music and go, "Oh, no, this definitely sounds like it's from this decade." So, I like games like this. They're fun. I love music. So, for me, Hitster, guilty pleasure, this is one I would keep and play. I think it's really fun.
That's awesome. Mandy, what I love about some of these conversations and why I think board game media is really helpful in a lot of ways is you like this game and I listen to your description of it and your explanation and I go, wow, that game is not for me. Like,
Fair.
and that's totally because I'll play real time games, right? And you're kind of
Sure.
like, yeah, that game's not for me, or dexterity games that I like that you don't like,
Right.
because I like the music. I am so ignorant when it comes to
Sure.
music. I would just stress me out and I would be
Right.
unhappy and I would feel underwater on it. But for you, somebody like you who has more enjoyment out of that, like it's perfect for you. I love, thank you for saving me money, Mandy, because that one is for me personally a pass just based on that. But it sounds
Fair
like it's
enough.
perfect for you, which is awesome.
Yeah, super good.
All right. First up for me is a game called Pergola. This is published by Rebel Studio. We've got the designers Mikhail Golbioski and Premek Wachikovic, with illustrations by Karolina Kiak, and it's going to retail for about $45 US. And it plays 1 to 4. And Pergola is a game all about filling your garden with flowers and plants and bugs. And how cute is that? You're going to have your own personal little garden board, and then you have 2 sideboards as well, like a gazebo board and a water feature board, and you get a little tool holder. So part of the core mechanism of the game is you take actions and they come in the form of like little cardboard tool tokens, like spades and rakes and things like that, but they're physical little cardboard pieces, and you get a literal plastic planter pot and that has slots at the top. It has a cardboard thing and slots, and you, after you take your action, you put your tool in it to store the tool that you use. It helps you keep track of the progress of the game because you play so many rounds. It's also thematically adorable. It's so completely unnecessary, but it's adorable.
Love it.
So during the game, you're going to draft a tool that will give you resources, and based on where it is on the board, it will give you an action. And most of those actions are going to be about taking actions on your board, obviously, and planting flowers, getting bugs, spreading them around to optimize scoring. You're going to play through so many rounds. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. Cool. Thankfully, the game has also a very big cardboard player aid for scoring, because this game has tons of different types of plants and tons of different types of bugs as well. You're going to have like 4 different types of flowers, but then some of the flowers have 3 subspecies or 3 subtile types, and then some have 2. And then there are bugs, but like there's 3 different sizes of the dragonflies. And oh, there's also leaf tokens, by the way, as well. And there are honeypot tokens, and on the water feature, you've got water droplets that are going down that as well. Mandy, this is the game. Holy cow. Oh, there is a lily pad pond that's shared where you get your little frog meeple that you're going to be hopping around from lily pad to lily pad to collect these other tokens,
Yes.
including dragonflies. Oh my gosh.
It's a lot.
Oh, and Mandy, there are also lanterns. All right. Yeah. So anyway, that's the game. So you're going to be just getting these things, putting them on your board to maximize scoring. And this is where the game at its heart is dead simple. Draft a tile that gives you a very clear resource and a very clear action, and then take those things and put them on your board. The complexity comes in all of the scoring. Every type of flower scores differently. They attract specific types of bugs, and every type of bug scores differently. So, for example, you have magnolias, and there's 1 branch magnolias and 2 branch magnolias, and they build up into a little tree. That's adorable. And then at the end of the game, the magnolias are going to score how high you got it and how many tokens you have, not how many buds are on the tokens. And of course, magnolias attract ladybugs, and ladybugs that are on them are going to score based on how many you have on a complete tier of the magnolia tree. Got it? Yeah. And there are 3 or 4 different types of flowers that have completely different scoring. Now, again, there is a pretty solid player aid to help you through all this, but it is holy butts, a lot. And again, the gameplay rules are dead simple, but trying to teach this game with all of those individual rules,
Yeah.
it turns what is a simple game into a fairly tough teach,
Mhm.
even to like expert experienced gamers as you're going
Yeah.
through all of this. It's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot, which is a shame because it makes such a weird barrier to entry for such a pleasant game. It's pleasant
Mhm.
thematically, the components are lovely, the components are way nice, along with those
Yeah.
pots, all the wood meeples that are fully printed, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But it makes it hard to get into what feels like thematically should be a very approachable game, which is tough. The other really cute thing about this game is that garden board is quote unquote freeform. You literally just get a cardboard board that has a scene, a garden scene, and they tell you like put these flowers at the bottom or put these at the top, but where you put them on the board can be anywhere. So
Right.
you are literally personalizing your garden board as you play. And from a creative expression and just kind of a pleasant experience point of view, that's I don't know if I've seen a lot of games that do that with this kind of theme where you have that freedom to do that, and it's adorable. It's so nice and I really really like it. But that barrier to entry for the scoring is brutal. The scoring puzzle is interesting though. I mean, that's the thing. So if the theme and the creativity and the component quality and that complexity of scoring appeals to you and you approach it with that mindset and prepare yourself for the teach, once you go, it flows. Once you know how to play, the game
Yeah.
flows very, very quickly. So you're looking at a game that has like a 35-minute teach and a 40-minute playtime,
Yeah.
right?
It's
But once you know
accurate.
how to play, you know how to play. And then you have a very quick, approachable game with great components and a lovely theme. So if that sounds like your thing, it's a very nice game. And that's Pergola.
And the price point is good on this. I know when I talked about it, the price point, I remember looking it up and I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty good." I think it was only like 50 bucks or
Yeah,
something
it's 45
Canadian?
US. Yep.
45 US. Yeah, like which for me for what comes with it is very good. Yeah, something to it's very pretty. Well, the next game I'm going to talk about, I don't want to give away too much of this game because
Yeah.
yeah, there's some spoilers. Now, it's funny, Suzanne, because we played this game the first kind
Oh
of
gosh,
session.
we did a
Do you
prototype
remember you,
years
me, and
ago. Like
Ashley?
years
It was
ago.
years ago. Yeah, so it's coming back full circle. So this I backed this. So I backed I did like the level that you get all the things, deluxe and whatever, just because I have a game group who loves this type of game,
Mhm.
and that is The Dark Quarter. So it's designed by Evan Derrick. Art is by Metus Kamada and Jarek Nokori, and it's published by Lucky Duck in conjunction with Van Ryder Games. So
Oh.
if you're familiar with like the Destinies kind of
Mhm.
series, it's very similar to that. So it's like app enabled, but also with board game and some storytelling. It's for 1 to 4 players. Plays in about, it says 120 to 180 minutes per kind of session. We're going to talk about that. And right now, if you want just the base game, it's about $57 Canadian, and I think it's on pre-order because we just received our boxes not that long ago, and the app was only recently updated in Steam like a couple of weeks ago. Same with the app. So it's pretty new, but it should be available soon if this is something that interests you. So the whole concept is taking place in New Orleans, Louisiana, around 1980. Heyo, 1980 babies in the house. I mean, I've never been to New Orleans, but anything I've heard about it, it is like definitely that kind of vibrant, bright city, very known for their food, their music, culture, and it's trying to demonstrate that. And in the game, you are it's a little dark. It's supposed to be, you're uncovering things about a potential, murder. I don't want to go too deep into it, but you're investigators and you're trying to find out what happened here. And there are other kind of fantasy type elements that tie in. And being in New Orleans, right, you're dealing with, and I'm going to say, I know this is not the correct term, not magic necessarily, but there is that some kind of element there, voodoo and things like that. Supernatural, maybe that's a better way to say it. But those are some aspects that you will see in the game. It's a one of those games where you buy a box, and I think there are 4 scenarios per box, because there are other expansions to it, and the story continues in that box. So whatever decisions you make, in the first scenario, it will continue into the next and so forth, but it doesn't from what I'm seeing, I don't think it goes from box to box. It's just that within that box.
Mhm.
So those scenarios. So yeah, so your decisions matter. As we just discovered in our last game, we played with someone who was a little unhinged, and that may have caused a bit of an issue for us because now they're not playing with us and someone had to take over their role. Yeah, we won't get into that. So we were a little like, oh my gosh.
Good for you for
So
setting boundaries.
yeah, so they probably shouldn't have been doing the things they were doing. So yeah,
Because
so
it is,
that's
because I remember playing it with you, and it definitely strays a little darker in tone than some of the other
sure.
in those series, for sure.
Absolutely, which we're all here for, and my group loves
Especially
this
you.
type of
Yeah,
game.
yeah, you love that
Yeah,
game.
like, this is right up my alley, but if that's the theme of dark kinda game, this might not be for
No,
you. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
But just as a heads up. So, overall, the game itself falls very similar to Destinies. I say not exactly the same because there are some slight differences, but if you're familiar with Destinies, this will be very familiar to you. There are, like, some slight changes, but nothing that's complicated. The rules are fairly straightforward. It is forgiving. In the rules, we're so used to, like, you have to be in the same spot to do this, and it does have some forgiving things for you. And there are some dice rolling, it's that's where you have to roll for based on your skills, right? How many successes you're going to have based on your roll. So lightly touches into, if you're familiar with D&D or any type of game that uses those elements, it's very very simplified uh things like that. So easy to manage. You have a character, you have character cards that are specific to you. But like, for example, I have cards that will help everybody. Do you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
these are things that you can acquire by gaining experience and buying these skills and whatnot so that you can use them throughout the game. Okay, that's the general gist of the game. And obviously, the goal is to solve the case. Now, however you do that, it may end up different endings based on the decisions that you and your team make. It plays up to 4 players. Destiny's, I think, only played to 3. And I
Oh, that's
believe there's
right.
a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's a valid reason for that. So,
Mhm.
like, I coming back to the time, this game says 180 minutes. Yeah, there's no way it's 180 minutes for 4 players. I don't care how well you know the game or how fast you progress.
Yeah,
It takes time.
yeah.
The app does not read things to you. That I didn't love, to be honest. Not only from an accessibility standpoint, I just like to have somebody read it to me with some nice voice acting. I don't know. I'm spoiled, but I thought that'd be nice. I mean, yeah, we do it as well, but it's just sometimes it's nice to have that and for other reasons too. So I think a few people were a little disappointed in that. I know that may have extended the time when we received the access to the app, but I think having voices, at least from time to time, they have them for like 1 or 2 snippets, but for the entire thing would, I think, be super cool. So that's something I think that would be fun. But the time, yeah, absolutely not. So playing with 4 players, it's long. So if you are, we don't mind because we're used to it, but someone who's like, I don't really like long games, it's long. Like
Mhm,
you're
mhm.
pushing 3-4 hours, depending if somebody reads fairly slowly and you have to read everything. It's going to take a long time. So just bear that in mind with the time. Something that came up when we played, and I don't think it changed that much. There is a lot of swearing.
Oh,
And hey,
oh, interesting.
I remember us having this conversation. Hey, listen, I used to work with the military, okay? So anybody who knows this, there's a lot of swearing, and that doesn't bother me. But time and place, is it necessary? Like some of the way the characters were voiced or like their script was, like that doesn't really fit the vibe or the theme to me of this setting. And just some characters would be like swearing, and I'm like, yeah, it just didn't hit right. And I thought it was just me, but our whole group felt that some of the way that the script was written was not exactly accurate to the time, to the character. So I found there to be a little too much swearing, or just or swearing where it wasn't necessary. Do you know
Mhm,
what I mean?
mhm,
Or the
mhm.
terminology
Interesting.
that was used. I'm like, that doesn't really seemingly fit
Mhm.
for this theme and this location, especially being in New Orleans. I feel like they would have their own type of um, swear words or own type of cursing that would have thematically made more sense.
Mhm.
So I feel that they missed the mark a little bit on that. That could just be us, but I feel that. And I do remember us commenting on that when we played it the first time, and that was some feedback we had provided. So we talked about the app, we talked about the length of time, we talked about the kind of theme and scripting how for each character. But overall, great components. Now I do have the slightly upgraded version, but even the regular version of it is quite good. You get little miniatures, tokens, the boards are thick inset. I can't say anything bad about that. And there's always
Sure.
a lot of story there.
Mhm.
And we're on our 3rd session and we're loving it. Other than those things that we discussed, we're enjoying it. We're having a great time. And yeah, we're probably going to play through all the boxes. This rarely happens for me. So very excited to see more. So if that kind of interests you, that app integration, storytelling, having fun with a group, Dark Quarter could be one to try. So very much enjoying this.
That's awesome. Now, see, I didn't back it because thematically it did go a little darker for me and things
Right.
like that. But I love that general system. I love
Yeah.
the Destinies line, and it's great to hear your experiences. I actually would love to hear, even if it's on the podcast, about the experiences you have with
Yeah,
the rest of it,
absolutely.
because maybe I will have some regrets for not backing it. All right, much shorter, much smaller game for me than
Yeah.
Dark Order is Paperworld. Paperworld is designed by Benoit Turpin and Alexandre Aguilar, and we have illustrations by Olivier Deroteau. And this is published by Lumberjack Studios, and Pandasaurus is distributing it in North
Nice.
America. Now, when I saw this game, one, the illustration, the art style really appealed to me. But as soon as I see the name Benoit Turpin on anything, I want to try it because Benoit designed one of my all-time favorite games, which is Welcome to, which is a fabulous
Yes.
flip and write game, roll
Very
and write
nice.
style game. So, but there's Benoit with Paperworld. All right, so Paperworld is a small, fairly straightforward card game. I will point out it's not a super small box, but it's not a huge box. This has
Yeah.
one of the most elaborate box covers I've ever seen on a game, let alone a small box game. So it's Paperworld, and the concept is paper, like paper cutout art that layers
Yeah.
on top of each other. Cute theme. And hey, way to pay that off with the cover, because the cover is layered cardboard and it's thick. So it
Oh,
conveys the
wow.
thing where each part of the scene like gradually gets layered on. The
Yeah.
the cover's got to be at least like almost a quarter of an inch thick at the thickest layers, and it's cute, but dang, production. Wow. I know that's so random, but I was just like, I can't get over how unusual it is. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Anyway,
Exactly.
Paperworld, little square cards in 4 different colors, numbered basically 1 through 5. Okay. And you're going to have a little market of cards. You're going to shuffle the deck, split it into 4 even piles. And ultimately, you're going to be taking cards and building out a 3x3 tableau in front of you for points at the end of the game. The game ends when when only 2 of those piles remain. And at the end of the game, most points wins. Dead
Mhm.
simple, right? So the rules are you can either take cards or play cards on your turn. When you do either, you take all of one color or all of one value. So in the market, I can take all the yellow cards or I can take all the 2s. And then
Yeah.
when you play cards on turn, similarly, you can play cards of one color or you can play cards of one value. So if I have 3 yellow cards in my hand, if as long as I can legally play them, I can play 3 yellow cards. Or if I have 3 2s in my hand and I can legally play them, I can play all 3 2s. That's the whole game. Some cards have a scissor icon on them, which gives you the scissor token, which can give you a benefit. Cool. Basically, as you're building the cards in the tableau, you have to start at 1 and you
Mhm.
progressively build on top of that. So if I have a 1 value card, I can play a 2 on top of it. After that, I can play
Right.
a 3 on top of that, and then 5 on top of that. As you go up in the values, there are more and more points on those cards. So at the end of the game, a 5 value card will have 5 points on it at the end of the game. And what's cute is as you progress, the art gets more elaborate. It's
Mhm.
the same scene, just different layers as you go. And conceptually, I think that's really adorable. Now, you have to play sequentially, but the scissor token will allow you once per turn to skip a value for free. So I can play a 3 on top of
Right.
a 1 for no cost. Otherwise, once per turn, you can discard a card from your hand to skip one. Gives you a little more flexibility. Cool. I mean, that's the game. I think my first play, I was just there's also end game. There's 3 random end game objectives that, or not end game, but goal cards that you can go towards. And the first one to complete it gets a little point token. And the faster you do it, the more points you get. Because the first play, I hyper focused on getting those objectives and getting the points from that. And I hyper focused on getting some of my stacks up to 5 value. What I
Yeah.
realized is that that's not the necessarily the best thing to do. So next game I switched it up a little bit and I worked more on getting multiple piles up into the scoring zone. Because
Mhm.
when you place a 5 on top of a 4, four value card has 4 points. A 5 value card has 5 points. So putting a 5 on top of a 4 actually only gets me 1 more point because
Mm,
you're covering up the 4 points that was below it. So instead, I
right,
went a little broader and tried to get and use my scissor tokens to get a lot of 3s out. And I have to say that paid off. And I also think it added a little more strategic depth to the game, which was nice. My first play, it felt a little more straightforward. Second play and third play, I had a little more out of it. But
right.
regardless, the objectives are super important and because if you are first there, you get 4 points, and that's a lot of points in this game. So
Absolutely.
there's that element as well. I like it. I like it. It's straightforward, simple, cute theme, nice aesthetics, easy to teach, easy to play. Is it my favorite new small card game? Not really. Like
Mm,
there just wasn't enough of a twist or spark for me to be like, wow, this is awesome. But if somebody had Paperworld or if they wanted me to teach them Paperworld, yeah, no problem. It's a delightful
right.
little game with a great look. And sometimes that's all you need. And a super amazing box. There you go. That's Paperworld.
But when you said Paperworld, I instantly thought of like, like a Mario game or something. I don't
Sure.
know.
Yeah, yeah. Because literally
Yeah,
there's Super Mario
right.
Paper. Yeah.
And then I realized, wait, no, board game. So, yeah, okay. Well, maybe this isn't one that I need to rush to play then. I mean, yeah,
It's a
um,
delightful little game. There
sure.
are a lot of delightful little
I,
games
I was
there.
about to say there are a lot
Yeah.
of those. Okay, no, that's good to know. Thank you for that. The last game I'm going to talk about, I don't know how I feel about this one. I like it, but yeah, spoiler, I like it. My game group, not so much.
Isn't that Mandy, I feel like that's happening more and more to me
Yeah,
where I
me
like a
too.
game but my like general groups don't like it as much. Interesting.
Yeah, right? And I have several game groups I play with, so, and shout out to my game groups, I appreciate you. I know it's not easy where you all know I have stacks of games to play, and they're like, "Okay, no, let's prioritize
Let's
Mandy
knuckle
stuff."
down
So
and do this thing.
exactly, so I appreciate it
Let's
even if
have
it's games that
fun.
are
Dang it.
right? Yeah, it literally is that, so I appreciate all of you, and this particular group that I played with did not enjoy this. My other group, maybe I should have played with them, they might have enjoyed it more. But it's good to get different perspective. So I'm talking about the game Mythwind, and it's designed by Nathan Liege and Brendan McCaskill, and art is by Amanda Kaditz, and it's published by Open Owl Studio. So it plays 1 to 4 players, about 30 to 60 minutes. Yeah, maybe. I don't know about that. And it's about $118. Now, the version I got, they were very kind to send me a few other pieces with it, but I think the based cost is 118 Canadian dollars. So Mythwind is a cooperative, and it's also playable solo, and we're going to talk about that. And it's a cozy. It is literally marketed as a cozy board game, and so you have characters, and it definitely has that whimsical, sprites and fairies and things like that. And has a narrative component to the game, so making decisions and events will happen. You can go adventuring, so then you'll have to continue the story, and then you'll have decisions in the game. Like if you do this, you'll get this. If you do this, maybe it's a negative thing that happens. So those are some elements of the game. Every player has a different character. So it's one of those asymmetrical games. So if I'm a farmer, so there's like a farmer, crafter, there are a bunch of different roles. I want to call one the accountant because it's literally like you do an audit. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
But each character is different and some are more complex than others. So, like the farmer is the one that's like they say start with that one. It's like a 1 star out of 4. You would probably like the farmer, Suzanne. It has like a polyomino element. You've
Ooh.
got your little farm. Yeah, you
Mhm.
get to play with that a little bit. And then there are other ones like the one that I call the accountant, which is a little more complex and you can see it because there are cards and things to manage. So some of them can be a little complex. So you definitely have to learn them in order to kind of go forge ahead in the game, if you will. There's also a main kind of 3-sectioned board, and this is where you're going to take your actions. So there are different types of actions in the game. You have town actions you're going to take, character actions, and worker actions. Yeah, so the town actions are where everybody has little miniatures, and you're going to put those on the board and take actions like potentially building, adventuring, like getting those cards that I was talking about could give you things, upping the resources that you all collectively have in order to build buildings. The building's a weird thing in this game, and I find it really hard to push forward in the first few games because you have to take a building, but you don't build it right away. It goes into a queue. And the queue, there's a number on the card that tells you where it goes in this queue, and it can't get built till it gets pushed out of the top of the queue. Then you can put it on the board, and then you'll get a thing for doing that. It's a process. So the first game or two is tricky
Sure.
because you're basically building to get better for the next game. So if you're planning on playing this as a one-off, we'll talk about that. It's a little challenging. And then you have actions that are based on for your specific character that you can do on your board, and there are dice as well if you've managed to get workers on the board. Then you can use those for certain spots specific to your board based on the alignment. There are blue dice and orange dice, sprites and villagers, I think it is. And depending on where you've chosen your town action will determine your alignment for your specific, I think it's the character actions, where which colored dice, sorry, which action you can use based on your alignment. Yeah. So it's funny at first glance. It seems like it's just a little bit of stuff, but it actually is a lot of things that are you're doing in this game. So you play a set amount of rounds based on your you have like a stack of weather cards because the game is played in seasons. And once you get to that last weather card, that'll end that season for everybody. So the phase that I was talking about was kind of phase 2, where you're doing all of your actions, and these are done simultaneously. Phase 1, kind of jumped ahead. This is where you'll determine the weather, and some of these weather cards affect actions for other characters in the game or other players. But also getting so many symbols in a row, most recent in a row, can affect the weather, like based on the weather tile, may give you something, may something bad might happen. It really depends. So you have to check that as well. And an event might come into play or something else. Then you would go into the actions that I was talking about. And then after that, it's kind of, okay, any actions at the dusk phase here that need to do for your character. And then it's just, putting dice back if you've used them up, getting all your workers back, things like that, and then you set up for the next day. So the phases actually themselves are pretty straightforward. It's what you're doing within those phases that it gets a little complicated specific to your character, which can really throw things off. So I think one character has actions they do off the board completely. They don't even take town actions. They can have an option to do something else, and then they have cards. It's a whole thing. So yeah, and then the game will end once you've finished all those. We get through all the temperature cards. It will end that season. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to get all the words out. And then you can choose to save the game or continue into the next season. So you start, I think it's like spring it starts. So there's like spring, summer, fall, winter. So I like this game. Let me reiterate it. I played it solo. And the first time I played it, I was more just kind of going through it. I played the farmer. I'm like, hey, I read the rules, having a chance to play it. I was just kind of doing it on a stream just to kind of get a vibe for it. I was like, okay, there's a little bit more going on here than I thought, for sure. So there are a lot of actions. Each character has their own player, like a rule book, and it's not thin. So you do have to know a few things to play well. The first game I found really challenging building. Like, for example, it's like, yeah, good luck to you. If you can get more than a building out, even then I was struggling to get it out. It definitely comes across the first game as a set you up for future games. So if you wanted to play it just as like a one-off, I mean, which is fine, but if you were playing it as a one-off, I don't know how much enjoyment you would get out of it doing it like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll get to see things, but how much you get to do with those things doesn't really happen, I don't feel, until you go to another season or 2. So, if that's how you wanna play it, I wouldn't play it that way. I would definitely play it as, like, a continued story. It definitely comes across, even in co-op, very multiplayer solo, because everything's done simultaneously unless something has to be resolved in a specific order, but it's done at the same time, and then you're kind of working your own board. There's really no need for interaction, which for me, I don't really care so much about that sort of thing, but the group I played with were like, we didn't really feel like we were interacting with each other, like, we coulda just played this by ourselves. So, they didn't love that, and then they did find that some of the characters that they were playing were a little hard to follow. So, they were not a fan of that either. So, I personally enjoyed playing the solo. I know, shocking for me to say that. I liked playing the solo, and I would, because it reminded me of a video game. Do you know what I mean? It had that cozy vibe, and it's not hard. Like, learning the characters is a bit of a doozy. Yes, I will 100% say that. But the game itself is not, like, the rules are not super, super hard. So I was into it, and I like the theme. It's cute. So I think playing this as 1 or 2 players, I think it would be probably more enjoyable. Playing with 4, I
I like.
don't know if it's the type of game that a lot of people will enjoy that way. I could be wrong. That's just my opinion, but I think 1 or 2 players is probably the way to go with this, and it's not 60 minutes. I'm sorry. With the amount of things that you have to do for,
Mhm,
like, some of these characters, there's
mhm.
absolutely no way. And yeah, I know the first game people will say that. Doesn't matter. I played it a few times. Nah, it's longer than 6, even solo, it's longer than an hour. So, I'm playing with an easiest character. So, take that with a grain of salt. So, for me personally, I think it's very pretty. I actually really like the mechanics. It's simple. The basic game itself is simple. Your characters, yeah, you're going to have to do some like getting to know that character. So, I recommend just playing. You're going to play solo, play that one all the way through. And now you have a better sense of the game. And then you can switch it up if you want to challenge yourself more, which I think is the intention, right? To try a different way of playing. So, there's lots of replayability in this box. I don't think Mythwind will be for everybody, but definitely if you're solo, 2-player, I think you'll like this. So, Mythwind for me, I enjoyed it, but I don't think it'll be for everybody.
Fair enough, and just like HITSTER, I was like, "Oh, yeah, that game's not for me." Listening to you talk about Mythwind, I'm like, "Oh, that
Yeah, you'll
sounds
like Mythwind.
really fun."
This is right up your alley for
Yeah. Oh,
sure.
no. Darn it, because I think HITSTER is like an affordable game and
Yeah, exactly.
$120,
This
like,
one's like,
son of a biscuit, because this sounds super duper fun, especially but listening to you talk, I think your assessment of, like, it being great at 1 or 2, and
yeah.
that sounds accurate, but also just tons of fun. Uh,
Oh, yeah. Let's play this together. Like you'd love it.
Alright, thanks, Mandy.
No problem.
Alright, to wrap up games played, I've got
I've
Australis.
been saying Australis. Have I been saying
Australis.
it wrong?
It's Australia is, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
This
Okay, we'll go
is
with
from
that.
Cosmos Games, designed by Alessandro Zucchini and Leo Colvini. Hello, Signor Colvini.
Alessandro, I love your last name. That's so great.
Zucchini, I know, great name.
Zucchini.
Yeah.
I
And
love
then
it.
we have illustrations provided by Fiora GmbH. And this is a game all about the East Australian Current, the EAC, which I think was made famous in Little Nemo, not in Finding Nemo, not Little Nemo,
Okay,
Finding Nemo, where
nice.
the turtles are going down the EAC or something like that. Anyway, or maybe it's not the East. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's all about the East Australian Current, and you are going to be settling coral, you're going to be gathering fish, and you're going to have your turtle moving along the EAC. Because when you look at the board, there's like the EAC is like a path throughout the board, and then there's little pockets for coral slots around it and a card market and that kind of thing. And what a delightful theme. I just thought that's really sweet. You play in 5 rounds, and at the end of the game, guess what, Mandy? Most points wins. Go
Shocker.
figure. So, this is a dice drafting game in which dice are going to get a big pool of dice are going to get rolled based on player count. And then there's different types of dice. And then players just draft them. And the dice, based on color, will give them a variety of actions. After you do all the dice drafting, you take all your actions, you are going to score every round. And then after you score, you have a dice battle. So in this game about the EAC and turtle surfing in the EAC and attracting fish to your coral ponds, you have a dice battle. And okay. So some
Sure.
of the actions that you get are you're going to get these dice and you will get fish tokens. You can plant coral, and the pods of coral are going to be like area control, area majority. Some of the dice just have straight out points that they'll give you, and some give you cards. When you get a card, you can play it immediately for its action, or you have a player action board. You can build up a little tableau so that when you take an action, you get extra bonuses as you progress throughout the game. So you're kind of
Nice.
engine building a little bit.
Yeah, love it. I like it.
There are actions that let you move your turtle down the EAC, which, it's not a race per se, but there's things you can unlock as you go down and that kind of thing. It's really, draft dice, take your actions, get points. You're scoring every round. And then that dice battle. So the way the dice battle is, you're going to get these dice and then you roll them. And every roll, the dice that have the lowest displayed value get returned to the dice pool. Last player with a die wins the dice battle. And then the first and second place in the dice battle, they get a reward token that can be points or food for your fish. It's weird. Like, I'm just gonna say it, like, having this dice battle
Sorry.
inserted into this game, it's just weird, but in a funny way, so I'll give it a pass.
Okay.
I don't know. We plant coral and then we battle with dice by rolling, and it's almost a pure luck fest. It's not 100% pure luck fest because the dice have different values. You know what they are. The first player die that's big and red, it has higher values, so you may want to draft it so that you can win the dice battle.
Yeah.
You can make choices that give you some advantage, potential advantage in the dice battle, so it's not completely luck, but it is just roll dice, lowest values get stitched. Okay. Um yeah. Anyway, I like the game. I like the game. It's
Uh-huh.
straightforward. The engine tableau building is interesting. You want to build your tableau early game, and then later game when you can't take the cards anymore, it's nice that you can use them and discard them so they still have value. There are definitely things with the area majority that you're doing in the coral ponds that are strategic as you're playing along, and you can kind of make interesting decisions as you go. One of
Yeah.
the biggest things, and I think this happens with a lot of dice drafting games, it completely depends on the role of that dice pool. You're going to roll these dice, assign them to their actions, but if you score low, or if you have one type that rolls really high and one that doesn't, depending
Yeah.
on what your strategy, if you're going for coral strategy, but the coral dice just start rolling like crud for you,
Mm.
adapt, I guess, but it can be a kind of a feel bad. And I think going into it, if you have an understanding that that's the way these games work, that's how dice work randomly, and they won't
Mhm.
always play nice with your strategy. And there
Right.
isn't a it's not like dice crafting where you can improve the pool. The pool of dice always stays the same, so your odds always stay the same. I think that that can be frustrating for some people. It is a fairly light game. The theme, I think, is delightful. The gameplay is fairly approachable. I like it. It's quick. It's going to play definitely in under an hour, especially if you know how to
Okay.
play. The teach is pretty simple and straightforward. I like the game. Is it one that's going to call me back again and again? Quite frankly,
Mm.
no, because that's the discussion. Who is this game for? Right. And I
Right.
honestly think this game could be for the people who got Wingspan and were overwhelmed by Wingspan. The people who are attracted to
Oh.
Wingspan were like, "Oh, pretty bird, and it's a game about
Right.
birds." And then they get into it like, "Oh no, this is a heavier medium weight
Yeah.
Euro, and I've never played a game like this. And what the heck is going on? And why am I doing these eggs? And how do these
Right.
like people who were overwhelmed by Wingspan, if they find Australis and give it a try, I think it puts the theme and the setting and the weight of the game much better paired for those kinds of gamers. The
Okay.
question is will they find it? Will they find Australis on the shelf, and would they pick it up over a Wingspan? I'll be honest,
Right.
I don't know. And that's not a
Mm.
criticism of the game per se. It's just the market is so flooded, and consumers, gamers, people who aren't as deep into the hobby wouldn't understand how to distinguish a Wingspan compared to an Australis side by side.
Right.
There's just no way for them to do that, unfortunately. I like Australis if you're looking for a great theme, a great setting, a lighter weight, quick game that maybe you can play with your family or things like that. It's worth checking out, and that's Australis.
Yeah, the box is very pretty. I have it. This is one I still need to play, but no, that gives me a good idea because I didn't know what it was about.
Yeah,
So this gives me
it's a nice game. I think you'll enjoy it.
okay. That's good to know.
All right. So, Mandy, one of the things that we want to jump into real quickly before we serve up our game pie, you've been working real hard on getting our You're the Expert segments rolling again. And I think you got one for us today, right?
Well, yes, as Suzanne has mentioned, you're the experts making a comeback. And most recently, I had the pleasure and delight of talking about analog game studies with Aaron Trammell. And we've mentioned a book by Aaron. I think Aaron's actually done a segment possibly
Yeah. Yeah.
a
The How to
while
Play. Yeah.
ago
A
for
while
the
ago. Yeah.
show. Yeah. Yeah. Privilege of Plagues.
Privilege of
That
Play.
Aaron has quite a few books that he's authored. And in our discussions about analog game studies, we got on the topic of cheating. And I think I started asking about is there a scale or moral scale of cheating or cheatery? I don't know. I had some very technical terms, and Aaron had some really good perspectives, and the chat did as well. So we wanted to share a little snippet of that with you here on the podcast, and if you're watching on the video.
In the community, what is the community? If it's a community of one and it's between you and the Nintendo Power, that's a different conversation about cheating than when you're like a speedrunner who's trying to work with a speedrunning community, or if you're a board gamer sitting at a table with four of your best friends playing a game. Like, there's very different social consequences for playing games in these different cultural environments.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because the Jeremiah blog has something here I'm going to read about tournaments. And I don't play tournaments for many reasons. I find them very stressful. And then I guess my question for you is like, is there, like, what is that level of, and I don't know if morality is the right word, but like, what is the level of, I guess, that morality of cheating? Like, what is defined as, like, for some groups or some people, it's not really cheating, and someone's like, no, that's like a serious offense. That's like, where is that scale? Like, is there a happy medium, or like, no, this is cheating, this is it, and anything outside of that, you're a cheater? Do you know what I mean? Like, now, I don't know, is there a scale on cheatiness? That's my very technical term. Is there
Cheatiness.
a scale on cheatiness?
I like it. So now, Mandi, that was just a small part of the conversation
Yeah.
of a much larger segment, right? And
Absolutely.
that's why we're not airing the full thing during the podcast.
Right.
Here.
Because it's over an hour. Like, it's about an hour and a bit.
Oh.
And that's just one of the things we talk about. We definitely talk about some other things. But you can find it. And if you're watching video, I'll try and put a link somewhere here that'll take you right to the video. But for everybody else, you can just come to the YouTube or Twitch. And You're the Expert, Analog Studies with Aaron Trammell. And you'll find the full video on one of those sites for us.
I love it. And I'll make sure that I link to it in the show notes as well.
Perfect.
I'm so glad. This is going to be a lot of fun to get these going. I love these conversations. Cheatiness.
Yeah, super, super good.
Alrighty, with that, let's wrap up for this episode. But of course, we can't go anywhere before we serve up some dessert. So let's have some game pie. It's that time, folks. It's time for board game dessert. It's time for game pie. Game pie is when Mandi and I serve up a selection of games based on our whims and our excellent taste, because we hate ranking things, but we love a delicious, tasty treat. So it's not a top 10, it's a pie. Then the pie of this episode is games that make you go rogue. Mandi, what is a game that makes us go rogue? This sounds very dramatic.
I know. I think maybe a little too dramatic. It's more just games that make you behave, differently, in a way that's different than how you normally act, using different tactics or strategies in a game. It's like, oh, what's come over me? I've never done that before, but I feel like I need to do it. So you've just gone off the beaten path. You've gone rogue.
Alrighty. Well, I did my best on this one, and I do like that, right? Because a lot of times I find the exception proves the rule, right? So Mandi, of course, you are, for longtime listeners, you are well known for your distaste for space set games and solo games. And yet.
All
But
right.
I think no, I know. We all tease you about it. But I think that just emphasizes that when you do like a space set game, or you do enjoy
Sure.
solo, that probably means it's a step above, right? Because it has a hurdle it has to get over with you first.
Right.
And so I think there's that element. And that's kind of an angle I took this at as well. So I think it's a great topic. I just love it when you select our game pies, Mandi.
It's so random.
It truly is. All right, so serve up the first slice.
All right. Well, the first slice of game pie for me is one, actually, I think Suzanne is the one who really introduced me to this game. And I think I've played it with you probably the most. And
Sure.
That is Summoner Wars. And any type of game where you have to battle, or some kind of, proximity where you're going to tag people, whether it's cards, miniatures, whatever. Now I'm in like, okay, strategy. Okay, I need to, like, I come off as very, it's fine, no worries. And then all of a sudden, I feel like I'm getting a little competitive. Like, yeah, I gotta get the shots in. Like it's like I'm doing the video game thing. Like, eat it, yeah, take that. Like, what's going on?
You really
here?
are like that when you play video games, shooters. It's so funny.
I just was like, what's come over me, right? It's like I now embody the person, class, whatever that I've chosen. And Summoner Wars is not even like the heaviest of games. It's actually one that I feel is a little more approachable than some of these types of games. I don't know. It just appeals to me in some way. And I'm just like, what is happening to me? Why am I this person now? So Summoner Wars.
Great game. Great. I love Summoner Wars. Great game. First up for me is Daybreak. Daybreak is a pretty popular right now, a cooperative game about, saving us from the climate crisis that gets worse daily. And you have to work together, and it's a beautiful production, and it's a fabulous game. And a lot of times, though, I've similarly to you, Mandy, in your space game thing, I for a long
Yeah.
time said I didn't care for cooperative games. Now,
I
I've
remember. Yeah.
evolved beyond that of late over the last few years, because cooperative games themselves, I think, have evolved and changed to a point where I really enjoy them. And I think Daybreak is a great example of that, because normally I want to be self-optimizing. Normally I love multiplayer solitaire. You say, oh, you
Yeah.
know, it's a cube pusher, it's multiplayer solitaire. Oh yeah, I'm in. That's great. That's what I want. But Daybreak pushes me beyond that, and it makes me really pay attention to my fellow players, and it
Right.
makes me make choices or even push for collective decision making that may hurt me a little bit and put me under extra pressure, because it's lifting up the collective. And that's
Yeah.
honestly like flat out self-awareness. That's not usually how I play. So I really applaud Daybreak for bringing that out in me, even though it's not how I would normally play. Plus I really like the game, so that's Daybreak.
Yeah, no, that's a strong choice. Daybreak's a good one. All right, well, next on my list, I picked a lot of like fighty games. I feel I don't know,
Yeah,
it's like a
well,
different person
yeah.
comes out, but this one, I mean, okay. Well, the next game, the second slice of pie, the games that make me go rogue, is Cloudspire. Now, Cloudspire is a chip theory game, and I generally tend to like a lot of their games, but this one's not cooperative. I mean, I think you can play in a different mode, but I've played it competitively. And Justice for Darb. It's a joke. Darb is the character in the game, and poor
Okay.
Darb went down very quickly. Darb is a cute little burb that, yeah. Anyway, my teammate and I were like, justice for Darb, because Darb went down quickly. But the two Mandys took on a different personality. I'm talking about my friend Mandy. When we played this game, we're so like, it's fine. And we're like, oh, let's get him. And we're whispering, shh, no, you can't listen to us. Shh. You know, we're on the map kind of trying to figure it out, because it's a massive map and you're trying to take out baddies and other players. And it's a whole thing. So if you haven't played Cloudspire, it is a rules heavy game for sure. So this definitely has that battle element, but it is definitely a rules heavy game, but still a lot of fun. And I definitely feel like I just really totally different mindset when I play this game. I mean, we're all friends after, so it's fine. But I definitely am a little more, let's get in and take them all out kind of vibe. So that's Cloudspire.
Which is definitely not how you normally are. So interesting.
No.
Next slice up for me in games that make me go rogue, and which is contextual, is Forgotten Waters. And I guess going rogue is highly contextual, because again, Forgotten Waters is a cooperative game. We're working together, right? So what does going rogue mean? Well, I am, just as I just said, I love cube pushers. I don't care if it's a themeless Euro pasted on. You say that game has a pasted on theme, I'm like, great, I don't care. But then there are games like Forgotten Waters, and I could have said this about Clank Legacy as well, but we just reviewed it last episode. So I pulled out Forgotten Waters, because Forgotten Waters is a cooperative game. It has, you're going to different areas, you're journeying to different areas, and you're taking actions together to try to accomplish missions and things like that. And you have character progression, and you have a character sheet that you're building up. And normally I'm just like, literally when I read rule books, I'll say blah, blah, blah theme during the thematic parts of the rule book.
Sure. Of course.
Not with Forgotten Waters. I love the setting. I love the storytelling. There is a digital experience element to it on a web app that you can access that has the narration. And normally I would probably skip over some of the story stuff in a board game like this. Not with Forgotten Waters. I want it all. Yeah. I want all the theme. I want all the story. I want to tell my character story. I want to listen to my fellow player's story and get that immersion, because it really enhances the experience and is just so much fun and so well done. So that is why Forgotten Waters is a going rogue for me game.
Oh, that's a great one. Then you just get into character.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's great.
It's so good. My third slice of games that make you go rogue pie, I had to kind of put this as like a general one, is just the Unmatched series in general. The Unmatched games are great, and I do find myself actually wanting to win. I know that's a really strange thing to say, but I am one of those players. If I win, great. If I don't, not a big deal. But this one, I feel like I'm like, nah, I really want to strategize here. And I feel like the characters pull me in, because some of the characters are ones that I really love, like the Shakespeare box, double, toil and trouble, fire, burn, and cauldron bubble. Oh, my sorry. It just got me into it. And I was quoting Shakespeare, of course, the entire time that I was playing. I digress. My point is that it's like down to the wire with that game, and I'm into it. And I just feel myself making decisions I normally be like, it's fine. You know what I mean? Not a big deal. I missed that one. But no, I only have so many cards I have to play. I have to manage what I'm trying to do here. And it seemingly happens a lot when I play with Ashley. She brings it out in me. And to be fair, I have actually won. I have won many times against Ashley. I mean, she usually beats me in games, but I think she can safely say that we have had some very close games. I beat her, she's beat me, and we're into it. Always friendly banter, but it's always all good after. So unmatched series for me. Love, love, love. And yeah, just definitely puts me in a different character while I play.
Amazing. Just for disclosure and as a reminder, I do work with Restoration Games, which is the publisher of Unmatched, and I have no comment on Unmatched beyond that. So, and I did not influence or say anything to Mandi about selecting that game. I had no idea she was going to do it.
No.
Right. Next slice up for me, 20 Strong. And Mandi, oh my gosh, I just realized we both picked like a series for this level, for this slice. And that was totally accidental. I literally just realized, I just had that moment of realization.
That says plenty though.
20 Strong is a series of little games from Chip Theory Games, and they are largely solo, right? And I love solo gaming, especially when it's a system like 20 Strong, which is so clean and so much fun. But what I like about 20 Strong is each deck is different themes and has slight different mechanical tweaks, but it uses the same dice pool, custom dice pool, and has some shared mechanisms between it. And the reason why 20 Strong is a going rogue game for me is there's something about this game that pushes me to be a risk taker. I'm a very risk averse player, and I'm a very risk averse person. But there's something about 20 Strong and how challenging it can be sometimes with how the different, depending on the set you're playing, how the different enemies come out or the different challenges come out. And it even feels beyond just a extra level of push your luck. It's more than just push your luck. It's risk taking in terms of what path I might go down to or how many dice I might want to dedicate to a challenge, knowing that if I fail, it might be here. But you feel compelled to do that because you have to progress. Otherwise, you just lose the game kind of thing. And there's something about 20 Strong that really compels me to be riskier than I feel like I normally would be. And I'll be honest, it's kind of thrilling. It's like, ooh, look at me being all risky, high risk. Yeah. But I love the 20 Strong series, and it's really fun in how it makes me play a little differently than I might normally otherwise play.
Yeah, no, that's a very good one, and I definitely agree on that one. All right, well, my last slice of pie, again, I feel this is another game that Suzanne either introduced me to or we've played a lot together. I'm pretty sure
we've played this together a few times. Yeah.
Because there's
an app version that we played.
That's it. Yeah, and I think Summoner Wars was very similar idea. So Yellow and Yangtze, and it's another one where I don't even feel like it's that, well, maybe a little. Like, it's one of those games, anytime you have a game with a screen and you have to hide information, I don't know, it's just like I get a little, strategery with it. Like, I'm like, okay, now I'm probably just pushing, tokens behind my screen, making it look like I actually know what I'm doing and hope for the best. But I feel like I know what I'm doing. But, the whole theme of this game is, building your civilizations through, tile placement. And that, for the most part, is straightforward, tile placement, we can get behind it. But, like, where you're placing is super important. And I'm not always so good at that. But when I get it right, I get it right. And I'm just like, I'm in the zone. So I do feel like that comment you made about taking risks or playing in a way you wouldn't normally play, like that is what I do with this game. Has it always paid off? No, but that's not the point. The point is that I still have a good time, and it's just definitely a different side of me that you don't normally see. So Yellow and Yangtze is my last slice of pie.
Excellent game and excellent choice. Good old Dr. Knizia.
Exactly.
All right, my last slice, and this is a game I mentioned maybe too often, but I love it that much, and it just fits this category so well, and that is Kemet. Kemet is a troops on the map game, but it has a Euro flavor to it. And I often don't like troops on the map game. Area control, I'm a little iffy on. It has to be done right. And certainly this kind of combat, like troop combat thing, isn't usually my jam, to be honest. But there's something about Kemet that just makes me love it. And I go full out aggro. And that is specific to Kemet because of the way Kemet works. There's no reward for turtling up. The game incentivizes aggression. So it just pulls it right out of me. And I am out there with my little figures, just like, I'm taking over this obelisk and I'm taking over this one. Yeah. Again, like some extra risk taking about where I'm going to attack and how I'm gauging that. And I love Kemet, and I kind of love that it brings that out at me and that it doesn't let me fall back into kind of my natural instinct, defensive instincts. I just have to go like YOLO on the game. And it's so much fun because of that. So Kemet is my last slice of games that make you go rogue. Game Pie.
I don't think I've played Kemet.
Oh my gosh. That's fine. You can't play every game. And I
my
mean,
game just a
you may
little
not
weird about
like
those
it.
types of games.
You may not
Yeah.
like it, you know, but it is action card driven. So there's this heavier Euro thing that helps balance
Which
out.
I love.
We'll see what we can make happen someday.
Yeah, I don't think I played Kemet. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. Another delightful game pie served up by our beloved Mandi. Thank you so much. Now, let's hear from you. What games make you go a little bit rogue? Maybe break your norm and do something different. You can always chime in on our Board Game Geek Guild. That's guild number 4131 on boardgamegeek.com. And we'll have an episode thread where we love hearing you chime in. It's so much fun. Or sometimes you don't want to be out there in the public, you know, saying your comments or being like, yeah, normally I hate this, but I like. You can always just email us. That's saltandsassgames@gmail.com. Or chat us up on the socials.
Yes, you can find us. Hey, you might be watching us here right now on YouTube, possibly Twitch, and you can find us there at Salt and Sass Games. So that's Salt and Sass Games. We're also on the Blue Sky, and we got a little fancy there. So it's just Salt and Sass. So that's Salt and Sass. You can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram. I think that's really it these days. At 613 Mandi. That's Mandi with an I. How about you, Suzanne?
Yeah, you can find me on even pure. Just Blue Sky is what I'm active on right now, and that is 425 Suzanne. As always, it's a pleasure and privilege to be podcasting with you today. Thank you so much for making us part of your extended gaming family and for being part of ours. Mandi, we are moving into like peak season, right? Origins Game Fair is done. And we actually didn't talk a lot about Origins, and maybe we should have. Oops. But part of that is because neither of us attended this year. But I think both of us are attending Gen Con.
Yeah, I think that'll probably be my last one for this year. I don't, just with everything going on, it's a little wild. So I think that, so that one we'll have to make it into a bigger deal. Yeah.
So both of us will be at Gen Con, and, you know, obviously Gen Con being a massive event in the US, and, you know, in gaming in general, there's the spiel and there's kind of Gen Con. So we will be talking more about that in upcoming episodes as we talk about Gen Con anticipation. But until next episode, y'all, just take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Stay hydrated. It's the heat of the summer here in this hemisphere of the world. So drink a lot of water and play a lot of games. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Promotional consideration has been provided by game publishers in the form of review copies of games. If you'd like to support the podcast, please check us out on coffee.com/saltandsassgames. Thank you for your support. We are also part of the Goonhammer Media Network. Check out more of their content on media.goonhammer.com. Salt and Sass is produced with love by Mandi and Suzanne, and we'll be back next episode with more salt, more sass, and more games.